Dear friends, we had some three sessions earlier, and in the three sessions we discussed the poem. We just went for a critical appreciation of the very poem, and now of course we have the fourth session. In this session, we are just looking at the important uh, questions and answers, which are of course included in the very text signatures. And this particular session is of course specifically for examination, so you must be very sure about the answers of the questions given at the end of the text. So we will be just discussing the questions right now, and once it's over we'll just wind up this particular poem and we'll move to the next lesson. And the next lesson will be of course the essay by the Canadian indigenous writer and professor Janet Armstrong. So before that, we will just discuss the questions and answers of the word of Pablo Neruda. First, we will look at the uh, short questions. First question: what glitters like colored stones? Answer is vowels. Vowels glitter like colored stones. Next question: about what does Neruda say? I bow to them. Neruda speaks about words that he bowed to them. Neruda would bow to the words. Third question: a chain of mountains in Spanish is termed cordilleras. So cordilleras is the term in Spanish for mountains. Next question: Neruda compares words to a healing stone called agate. Agate is the answer. A-G-A-T. Agate we have here. Agate. It is in fact ornamental stones. So Neruda compares words to a healing stone called agate. Fifth question: in honor of which Czechoslovakian poet did Neruda adopt his pseudonym? The answer is Jan Neruda. Jan Neruda. Neruda. So he was of course an admirer of this Czechoslovakian poet Jan Neruda, and in honor of that Czech poet Jan Neruda, Neruda took this name Pablo Neruda. How does an idea undergo a complete change according to Neruda? So in this poem, Neruda speaks about the power of words. When we change one word from one phrase or sentence, of course, we shift the space, or rather the very location of a word, meaning changes. Say, for example, you have a sentence like, I like ice cream. So when you just uh, change that word like with hate, it would be I hate ice cream. So likewise, you can of course have by shifting the position of words, you get a number of an idea undergo a complete change. Similarly, in a word you have of course bet, bet. You just change that b and you fix their per, you get pet. So bet can become pet. Similarly, you have I like ice cream, I hate ice cream. So similarly, this is in fact in linguistics, you have the very concept elaborated by Noam Chomsky, the professor of the Institute, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he came forward with his concept of transformational generative grammar. It is of course right. The language is we have every language is of course an organization of a set number of a finite number of signs, and with this finite number of utterances or signs, we can make infinite number of utterances. Same is the concept. By shifting the place of a phoneme or a morpheme or a word, we get new ideas. So how does an idea undergo complete change? Answer is shifting the place of the word. Next question: what are vowels compared to? So we have a number of similes. In all these similes, vowels are compared to. Number one, it is compared to stone. Later, it is compared to silverfish. Similarly, it is again compared to, of course, fruit, algae, agate. Number of comparisons. Then again, form, thread, metal. Lot of comparisons. Now the next question is, what was left behind by the conquistadors? So the conquistadors or the conquerors moving from one place to the other, from Europe to America, Europe to Britain, Britain to, of course, the Asian countries, Britain to, of course, African countries. So, what did the conquistadors leave behind? The conquistadors left behind words. Next, list a few similes used by Neruda to compare words. So, we have a number of similes. Words are compared to colored stones, silverfish, fruit, algae, agate. Then, of course, we have comparisons like uh, the beautiful melting icicles just hanging down, dangling down from top of the cave underneath a mountain. Similarly, plenty of expressions like we have all that here, like a right like slivers of polished wood, like coals, pickings from a shipwreck, gifts from the waves. Lot of comparisons like that. Now the next question, I leave them in poem like stalactites explain. So we have, of course, the expression I leave them in poem like stalactites. So them, I leave them, I leave what? I leave words in stalactite, like stalactite. What is stalactite? Stalactite, I just told you right now, it is of course those hanging icicles in a cave, of course, maybe on one side of a huge mountain. So the icicle, the scene of the icicles melting down from the roof of the cave, just dangling down, melting down, and dripping down, dipping down. It's a very beautiful scene. And when the poet uses words in his poetry, those words become beautiful. Like an example, of course, is the entire extract, the word. Next question. Discuss the domestic images that surface in the passage. So, as I said in my previous sessions, the poem, rather the extract, the word is enriched with a number of totally so much rather decorated with, ornated with domestic images. Domestic images means household, related to whatever we are familiar with. And we have, of course, images from cooking, images from, of course, gardening, images from cleaning, right, the vegetables we collect, images again from, right, images like making some juice, just biting into the apple or fruit. So similarly, a number of household. So like in cooking, you cook something, you just decorate it, you just garnish it, and all that we have there. I stir them, I shake them, I drink them, I gulp them down, I mash them, I garnish them. Okay, so similarly cooking again, right, you have there. So it's very, very beautiful. You have a number of household images. Similarly, objects again, from household objects to things you keep in your house, like you have vegetable, you have, of course, things like oily objects there. Then again, you have, of course, ivory. Okay, then of course a lot of dish, reference to dish making, preparing dish, and all these are all household images, and wonderful poem enriched with a lot of domestic images. Now the next question, explain, they carried off the gold and left us the gold. This is in fact the most essential sentence. They carried off the gold. The conquerors, the colonizers who came to the country, to the colonies, of course, took the wealth. The first gold refers to the wealth of the colonies. They took away all the wealth of the colonies, and of course, they left us the gold. And the second gold is, it is the gold, that is, of course, the abstract gold, that is language. Language is gold. Language is like the yellow metal. And the conquerors came to the colonies, looted and plundered, and took away all the wealth of the colonies, but left behind their language. And the poet is happy that we have new languages in each and every colony or country. Now we move on to the next question. Analyze the poetic quality of the passage, right? The extract, it is totally poetic from the very beginning till the end. And it is poetic because it is written with beautiful poetic language. It is written a poetic language, and of course it is written with a number of figures of speech. You have a number of figurative expressions, figures of speech, like you come across more than 10 similes, and you have a number of metaphors. You have also personification, and a number of very powerful images, household images, surrealistic images. Surrealistic images are images that take us to, of course, the whatever happened in our unconscious and our subconscious. So things like yeah, certain things that you do not like, you do not see in the real world, we have in this poem. So number of and all these similes, metaphors, and the very beautiful poetic language make this poem really a wonderful poem with a lot of poetic quality. Now we move on to the next question, very important question. What are the surrealistic elements in the passage? And we must understand the fact that surrealism in fact is a kind of art form that developed in Europe. Surrealism, and surrealism is, of course, right, you have painting in surrealism we have in painting. We also have surrealism in, of course, sculpture, music, and the very persons, Salvador Dali, Picasso, all these painters just began experimenting with surrealism. And we know that surrealism is, of course, right, it is, surrealism is in fact an attempt to artists, painters, sculptors, poets, writers, etc. They are just trying to represent the unreal world. Okay, you have the subconscious and the unconscious and the conscious, and whatever you have in the conscious is, of course, the real, and whatever you have in the subconscious and the unconscious are unreal. So all those terrifying fears, dreams, nightmares, bizarre, grotesque images, grotesque fears, etc. Maybe you have certain things which have no logic. Okay, maybe you see that a huge lion is just jumping on you and it's going to attack you. All right, or rather you see that your great grandpa is coming to you. Your great grandpa, you do not see him at all, but you know that that is your great grandpa, or such kind of things that you are not associated with, but still maybe you could be associated with. So certain images, dream like images, again very very bizarre and fearful images, and of course a lot of images and expressions which can come from the depth of the deep inside our mind. And of course surrealism is, of course, rather sometimes it is rather obscure, not easy to understand. Such expressions we have here again, right, like look at this one. We have the expression here that is, yeah, they live in the buyer. Words live in the buyer. Words live in the buyer. This is surrealistic expression. Words live in the buyer. Buyer is, of course, that mound of woods on which the dead body is cremated. And how can, this is something terrifying. You have the dead body lying on the wood, it is being burned, and the dead body is just being uh, cremated, melting down, the smell of flesh burning, smell of bone. This is surrealism. This is surrealism. And we have plenty of such expressions here. And that is, of course, all this. Why do we have surrealistic images here in this poem? Because in order to help us understand what happened in human history. Human history has not been a history of happiness alone, peaceful incidents alone. Human history has been a history of revolution, massacre, butchery, murder, plundering and looting. And all this is done through language. And as all this is happening, language is also witnessing everything. Everything is just recorded in language. And now we come to, of course, the next question, that is the essay question. The word is Neruda's tribute to his uncontrollable passion for poetry. Discuss. So this beautiful poem from the beginning till the end, the extract from the very beginning till the end, and end helps us understand the power of word. In the very beginning, poet says that, okay, our singing, our speech, our dreams, our thought, everything is with words. Word is everything. The entire universe exists in word. So we have ideas. Okay, all our ideas are just replicated in, represented or delineated in words, and it is because of words that universe is there. Everything is in the words. And thereafter he says, what is a word to a poet? What is a word to a writer? A word is life to a poet. Word is life breath to a poet. Word is like maybe a lover to the poet. The poet is eagerly waiting for the right word to come. When the right word comes, he's in a jubilant mood, joyous mood. Is drunk and is just dancing in ecstasy. That is, of course, the very consequence or effect or impact of the power of word. Beautiful, energetic. The right word can, of course, just fill the heart and mind of the poet. And this poem is, of course, enriched with a number of poetic expressions, beautiful images, similes, beautiful metaphors. Then again, lot of surrealism, and of course, references to what happened in human history, like the movement of people from one place to the other. That's what happened in the history of human civilization. Different civilizations we have, and all the civilization is just starting from the very original father and mother. That is, of course, our ancient men, the forefathers, right? And along with these people, language is also spreading everywhere. And maybe everybody dies. People die. People, our ancestors died, poets die, writers die, you and I will die one day. But if you have written something, if you have said something, and that what you wrote or what you said, if it stays in the mind of the people who listen to you, or if it is just kept in the books you have written, or if it is just kept anywhere in any device, words are going to live forever. That is the great power of word, and great writers, poets like Pablo Neruda does the same thing, and he is just asserting it very effectively in this beautiful extract from his memory, the word. So with this, we wind up our discussion of Pablo Neruda's the extract from his memory. Thank you so much for listening. May God bless you all. Thank you.